Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Coming to you from my office. I know it's been a while. I haven't done a sit-down podcast in a long time with my boys, but I'm very thankful for again the opportunity to come before y'all. So, just wanted to kind of end this topic. I've done two posts prior to, and that is the the Dion effect. So this will be the last time, basically, I talk in depth about this. Um, but After the loss to University of Oregon, which was a a very one-sided game, I would argue, yeah, Coach Prime and Colorado Buffaloes got their butts whooped badly. And I don't understand why people aren't talking more about this, but the Colorado Buffaloes really aren't that great of a team. They have a lot of good individuals, in Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders and others. They have a coach who is dynamic and who knows how to rein in social media, who knows how to get sponsors, who knows how to do all those great and wonderful things that you need in this modern day football. But he doesn't have a team. Their offensive line is almost non-existent. Shedeur Sanders is the most sacked quarterback in college football right now. Their running game is non-existent, even though they have running backs supposedly that are very talented, but they can't run because the O-line doesn't know how to make holes for them. The D-line is suspect at best, not as bad as the O-line, but they're not that great either. Their backfield on the defense, has some stars. His other son, Shiloh Sanders, leads tackles on the team. So he's doing well. There's a couple other, Travis Hunter, who plays both ways, but he's injured right now. They've got a lot of talented individuals, but they don't have a team. And in all honesty, I had heard a commentator say that if their schedule would have been different, and if they'd have had Oregon, USC, and Washington as their first three games, nobody would be talking about them, and that's probably true. They would be 0-3 right now, going into, they would be 0-3 starting the season instead of 3-0 like they did. And to be all honesty, the first three games weren't necessarily that easy. The easiest game they had was against Nebraska. They almost lost against TCU and Colorado State. So the Colorado Buffaloes, even though they're a good story, and I follow Coach Prime because I think he's inspirational. His morning stuff is real inspirational. His tweets and it's not Twitter anymore, whatever you call them. Stuff on Instagram is always very inspirational and very positive. And I enjoy that. I enjoy his traditional way of looking at football. I enjoy a lot of what he says. Some stuff I don't like, and I've made that clear in the previous posts. But I think that the team is not there. He has not accomplished team. He can talk all the positivity he wants and do all this other stuff, but he doesn't have the right team together. They did not invest in. They didn't invest in an offensive. They didn't invest in a lot of offensive line players or defensive line players for that matter. They brought, they just didn't invest in it. They invested a lot in wide receivers, running backs, DBs, those type of things. I'm not saying that they got necessarily scrubs, but maybe they did because the O-line can't protect anything. Because the quarterback's continuously getting sacked multiple times every game. And that's not sustainable. So a lot of what's going on with the quote-unquote Prime effect is media-driven. Coach Prime is what he is. He can say whatever he wants to because he's backed it up. He's a Hall of Fame football player. He's backed it up. He can show it. If he wasn't missing his toes, he probably could still do his thing. So he can back it up. He's grown. He can say whatever he wants. And he's backed it up. He's got the resume to back up whatever, crazy statement or whatever he says when it comes to, riling up, other teams or whatnot, but that's not really his personality. Unfortunately, a lot of other people are doing the same thing on his team and can't back up their bravado. Somebody brought up Shiloh, of course, Oregon put out the videos and brought up Shiloh talking mess about the Oregon Ducks. And he ended up leaving hurt and having to go to the hospital when they arrived back in Boulder or in Denver. So you were talking all that, how you're going to take all these people out, but you're the one that got taken out. And that's nothing against his talent and ability, but don't talk a game if you can't back up the game. And the problem is that a lot of these Colorado players are being like their coach, or I should say not necessarily the coach, but are being like the personality that he exudes, and they can't back it up. They can't back it up. Now, Shedeur, his son, the quarterback, Shedeur Sanders, can back it up because he has an almost 77% quarterback rating. So he's backing it up. He's about the only one on that team that's playing right now consistently. So he can back it up, but even then, he's not humble in some cases. We saw that at the Colorado State game with him showing his watch. That's a bunch of nonsense. Now, I agree that humbleness is a trait that we as Christians should exude. Now, I'm not saying Shedeur is or isn't a Christian. I don't know. His father, Coach Prime, professes it. Sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't. You're gonna bear fruit, and people's like, well, you can't judge me. Yes, I can, because if you're out in public doing something that's contrary, I can talk about that. It's just that simple. I'm not going to say whether you're going to go to heaven or hell. Now, that's not my job. I don't have that type of judgment power. That's only God's power. But I can judge you on what you do in public. And humbleness is a problem in the Colorado roster right now, because there's a lot of talented individuals that think they're all that and have not backed it up, with the exception of the quarterback, in my opinion, consistently. Everybody else needs to keep quiet. Why is it that you have to show off? Why can't you just come into a stadium, be confident in your abilities and be confident in your team, and go out there and be humble and respectful? But I know that in these modern times, people want to show off and they want to be the center of the party and they want to do all these things, but they can't back it up. And so far, the Colorado Buffaloes have really not backed up anything. Yes, they're 3-1, which is wonderful. It's obvious they've improved from last year. That's obvious. You couldn't do nothing but go up from 1-11. And I knew Coach Prime was going to do better than one win. But the way they played has not been consistent, and it really hasn't been that great. Let's just be perfectly honest. It's just pure resilience and all that they won the TCU and Colorado State game. Like I said, the only game they really showed that they were pretty decent was the Nebraska game. And even that game, there was issues. But the Oregon game proved to the world that Colorado Buffaloes aren't what they're advertised. Let's just be honest, they're not. Everybody's rooting for Coach Prime. Everybody likes Coach Prime. Everybody's rooting for them. And that's great. That's wonderful. They're wanting the Cinderella story, the turnaround, what he did at Jackson State. But you got to remember, his first year at Jackson State wasn't necessarily great. It took him a minute. And now he's at a Power 5 school, which is even harder to be successful at. And so far, he's 3-1. He's doing wonderful. Nobody can take that away from him. And I would agree that it's all the focus and everything is on him as the coach and as him as a personality. And unfortunately, the players can get caught up into the hype when they need not be in the hype, to include his sons. 2 of his sons. His oldest is the one that does the social media. But we can include him too, because he's the one pushing this stuff out. He's putting two posts a day almost on YouTube. And he's doing a great job at doing it. He's in his lane. He's where he needs to be. He's what's pushing this prime product out there to the masses. Been doing it. He did it at Jackson too. He does a great and wonderful job, and I commend him for it. He's awesome. He's great. But the media needs to stop. They need to stop pushing this narrative that he's the best thing since sliced bread and that it's everybody else's fault when things don't go the way they feel they should. So basically what's being put out there is anything that anybody of who's non-black that puts something out there, now they're called racist. Well, if I don't agree with you, why I got to be racist? Especially us as white people, because we're demonized now. It's our fault that everything is going wrong, and my direct Martin line came from England, came as indentured servants to this country, and we were just basically a bunch of farmers and blue collar workers all the way down the line for the most part. All my direct Martin line basically stayed up north. Most of the generation stayed up in that northeastern corridor of the United States and had nothing to do with slavery whatsoever. My direct Martin line. Now I'm related to many Martin lines that did have that. We're distant cousins, very distant cousins. But that's neither here or there. That's just the way the world was at that time. Right or wrong. That's just that history is what history is. But yet these people want to blame people for being critical about Coach Prime when they have every right to be critical. If everybody likes you, something is wrong. And something is wrong right now. I want Coach Prime to be successful because I liked his run at Jackson State. I thought he did great, wonderful things for that school, that community, and HBCUs as a whole. I think he did a wonderful thing. The reasons he left is none of my business. If he left because it just wasn't conducive for him and his family, because the crime rate is triple, quadruple what it is in Boulder, Colorado, then that's his choice. Whether he left for money, that's his choice. Whether what he says is God told me to go hey, I can't argue with that because I'm not God and I'm not Coach Prime. I'm not in his head. I don't know. So whatever reason people say or what reason he gave, it doesn't matter whether you believe it or not or you like it or not. It is what it is. He's grown and he can make his own decisions for him and his family. That's his choice. He's grown. And he's got the money to do it. He's an entrepreneur. He's a businessman. He's got the money to do whatever he wants to do, buy whatever house he wants, buy whatever car he wants. He can do all that stuff because he's blessed to have money like that. Most of us aren't that way. We have to stay where we're at. And he got a lot of criticism for leaving. Most of it was unfair. Some of it was fair. But it was his choice. What are you going to say? And he could have went to a much better school. He might have been offered a better school. But he says that God led him to Colorado through the athletic director. They clicked. They connected. Great. Go wherever you want. Go wherever you want. You went from, Jackson, Mississippi, which is probably 85% black, to Boulder, which is 99% white. Okay, your choice. I don't criticize for that at all. Every person has got to make their own decisions for themselves. God gave us free will for a reason, and he exercised it. I ain't got no problems with that. I still think, and I enjoy most of the videos that's put out by his son. I enjoy the inspirational quotes. I enjoy his old school football mentality. I like that because new football is a waste. I like it. I just wish that they weren't so hasty in when they brought all these folk in from the transfer portal, because it's obvious it didn't work. They haven't meshed as a team yet. It's not working. The O-line is absolutely disastrous. And as individuals on that O-line, they're probably trying their hardest. I don't know, but it's not working. This is not Jackson State and HBCU. And they've even admitted on video that the talent between an HBCU and a Power 5 conference in the wide receiver and all that is pretty much the same. And I would probably agree with that. But when it comes to the lines, it's a huge difference between HBCUs and Power 5 conferences. The lines are bigger, much bigger, and much more physical. And if you don't recruit people that know how to do that kind of stuff, you're going to suffer like Colorado is doing right now. And the quarterback is paying for it. And I'm telling you, he's not going to be able to take sacks like that. I'd be amazed if he's able to take that many sacks every game for this whole season. I would be amazed. Because Shedor's taking a lot of sacks. And he's trying his best. And I know he's frustrated. And I would be too if I was getting sacked that much. I think in one game he got sacked 7 or 8 times. I'd be hot. I'd be mad. And I'd have every right to be mad at my O-line. Y'all here to protect me. What are y'all doing? And if that's the case, just leave the center and just let me at the whims of whatever. So the media is really at fault for all this. The media is the one that's pushing the racial narrative, that's calling us that are criticizing Coach Prime, especially if we're white, racist, which is absolutely stupid. It's just stupid. It's just absolutely way off base. Everybody wants to use a race card. It's absolutely silly. Has nothing to do with race. Even Coach Prime in his first post-game press conference brought race into it, which really disappointed me, because before then he was all about, I don't care what color you are, I just want good players. Well, if that's the case, you wouldn't have brought up what you brought up in the post-game after TCU. Because you were supposed to be, as you put it, a unifier. Well, okay. Well, speak that. Speaking and doing are two different things. And you can say it all you want to, but if you're not really doing it, then it's it. And I know that, he's probably not that way, but the media is pushing that narrative, and he's fallen into that. Again, there's a target on everybody's back because they're all after the coach. And he even admitted that. They're after me. They're not after the boys. They're after me. And that's true. They're just collateral damage. And to be perfectly honest, if he's the coach that I think he is, he needs to go out and get some O-line people quick. Real quick. Because his son is suffering the missed opportunities of getting real O-line players to protect the star quarterback, who is a potential Heisman candidate if they can pull out some more wins. No, nobody's going to recruit a Heisman. Nobody's going to be a Heisman candidate if they're losers. That's just not going to happen. Even if they're the best quarterback in the country, if you're on a losing team, nobody's going to vote for you, because they're going to think that you had no impact. Even though you're the best player on the team and the stats prove that you're one of the best quarterbacks in the country right now, if you're on a losing team, you're not going to get the Heisman. That's just the way it is. Travis Hunter, who was in the running, probably won't get it now because he's injured. He's been out soon to be 2 weeks and probably be out another one. And I'm not mad at Travis for saying I'm coming back, because he's seeing the team needs help. And the coach, and I'm not mad at Coach Prime saying, no, you need to heal because your life is more important than this game. Now that I agree with him on. I agree with him when he said, there shouldn't have been death threats against that gentleman from Colorado State. That's a bunch of nonsense. It's not even that deep. It's a game. And even Coach Prime said, we don't want that. And if Colorado fans are doing that, shame on you. This is a game. It's not life. It's a game. It's not even that deep. It's not even that important for that matter. But the media is making it out to be, and that's part of the problem. And I can see where others are saying that they're making him out to be an idol. I see that, and that's dangerous, No man or woman should allow themselves to be put on a pedestal where they're worshiped. I've seen what happens, and God will take you down in a heartbeat. I'm telling you, I've seen it done. They need to stop making him into an idol. Coach Prime can't change who he is. He's a magnet. He had a Hall of Fame football career and a darn good baseball career. Has been successful after sports, commentating, selling products. He's been coaching ever since, basically almost since he got out of football, from little youth leagues all the way up. His academy. I mean, he's been doing it. Coaching is what he likes to do, and I commend him for it, and I respect him for it. He says that he wants to, be that father figure and example for young men. I think that's great. We need male figures to look up to in today's society, because it's all female driven now. It's a matriarchal society now, and that's why society's all messed up. It's all messed up because God didn't create it that way. And because he didn't create it that way, and because we've allowed women to basically run everything, when in reality, God didn't create it that way. There's nothing wrong. Women aren't supposed to be behind us. They're supposed to be beside us. They're our helpmeet. Helpmeet doesn't mean you're behind. Help means you're next to me. You're helpmeet. But that's not the way God created it. If you got a problem with that, then you got a problem with the Bible, and you got a problem with him. You got a problem with me. That's the way he created it. Well, that's old-fashioned and blah, blah. Well, whatever. It doesn't matter. Well, women can do it. No, women can't do everything men can do. We were not made that way. We were made differently for a reason. So all this junk that's happening, and all this backlash against people who criticize Coach Prime is ridiculous. Everybody has a right to say whatever they want to. Now, these days, if you say, you gotta be ready for the backlash. Unfortunately, people don't respect people's opinions anymore, and that's part of the problem. And I think Coach Prime is just as guilty as anybody. He knows he's going to get criticism. He says he don't care, but he does. He says he don't care about what people think about him, but he does. Now, he does a good job of focusing on coaching football and the program and everything else, because he's a professional. But him saying he don't care, he does. Because I've read many a tweet where he's blocked people because they criticize him. Well, if you don't care what people say, then why are you blocking them? Let them say whatever they want, if it's not affecting you. But you blocking them means it affected you. That's just what that means. You can't argue with that. That's exactly what it means. Because again, if you surround yourself with yes people, you're not getting factual truth. You're just getting what you want to hear. And in the military, we don't want to be surrounded by yes people. We want different opinions. The real leaders want different opinions, because not everybody's going to agree. We're not made the same. We don't come from the same backgrounds. We don't come from the same environments. There's more than one way to skin a cat, as they say. And somebody else's opinion, even if they don't agree with you, might be the right opinion. It might be a fair opinion. And I'm not talking about the ones that are shooting from the hip that don't know nothing about football. I'm talking about he's not liking people that have been in the sports business for decades. Either they're writers, or been on television, or former players. These are people you want to hear from. Not people like me. I don't want to hear nothing from me. I don't know nothing about football. I played flag football when I was a kid, and that's as far as it went. I don't know nothing about football. I don't even really watch it, for that matter. To be perfectly honest, I don't watch any kind of type of I don't watch hardly any sports at all. I used to watch soccer all the time until I got rid of my cable. Now I can't even watch it anymore, which is kind of unfortunate. But I guess I could probably get it on the Fire Stick if I really wanted to. But I keep up with it. And I'm talking about Premier League soccer, not necessarily MLS or anything else. So I think this prime effect is getting out of control. In a lot of ways, it's good. It's obviously benefited Colorado. The university has benefited Boulder. It's benefited his kids who are getting NIL money to include his own. It's benefited a lot of people. It's benefited his staff and employees. There's a lot of benefits to it. But there's some bad things about it too. It's put everybody in the crosshairs. It's made the kids targets now because they're acting a certain way. And I don't understand why modern kids these days don't think that somebody's videoing you, even if they're not. They should know better. They should know better than to do things like that. I think it was the kicker who was scraping up on the O in the middle of the field. Now you know you're wrong for that. And Junior admitted he was wrong for videoing it and he shouldn't have did it. But what you did is what you did. You probably you didn't probably think nothing of it at the time. You know, he's a former college football player himself. You don't do that. You don't disrespect somebody else's field. You don't do that. That's common sense. You don't do that. And the coach came on and said, I'd have kicked him out the game. You don't do stuff like that. You don't want people doing that to you. That's why Shedeur had such a big deal when, Colorado State was coming out there congregating on the Buffalo emblem in the middle of the field. No, y'all can't be doing it right here. But yet you don't say nothing when your own kicker disrespects the O in the middle of Oregon's field. The coach should have kicked him out for that. And I thought Deion was better than that. I thought he was about respect and about making sure you don't disrespect other people. You play it out on the field. And when that's done, everybody goes their separate ways. But you put it all out on the field, not before the game start. But he didn't do nothing to him. And I know he saw the video because I think on most of these videos, Coach Prime has to approve them. And for him to say he didn't know nothing about it, I don't believe that a second. Just like everybody's been criticizing for not knowing who his starting center is for that particular game. How do you not know who the center is out there that's giving the ball to your son, the quarterback? And I understand that, the coach may not know everybody's name, but that's not the vibe we're getting from the videos that your son is putting out. This is you call it a family. And that, y'all spent all the months bonding and you make such an effort to make sure everybody gets to know everybody. Heck, you had to basically tell your son, Junior, that you need to start putting the white players on video. Why would you have to tell somebody that? Are they not part of the team too? But they weren't getting no love. Now all of a sudden they're on every video all the time, the word for the day concept, which I enjoy. Again, I'm not criticizing Junior for his social media and camera skills. He's an absolute professional. I wish I had even an eighth of his skill. I would have more than 22 subscribers. But the simple fact of the matter is, this stuff's out of control. The prime effect is out of control. And it's out of control because the media and all these little commentators that are his friends and buddies and all this other stuff are pushing Prime to idol status. And then the people who don't like that or criticize him for the lack of gameplay, which there's plenty of, then all of a sudden they go wild and crazy and call you racist and they think there's a conspiracy thing going on. But it's obvious that the Colorado Buffaloes aren't a great team. And they are fortunate and blessed to be 3-1. Let's just be real about that. I hope they do well. But it's obvious that they are not a great team. And definitely didn't belong in the top 25. A lot of that had to do with the prime effect. Shedeur Sanders is a legitimate quarterback. He's going to go far. especially if he stays this next year like they say he's going to. Oh, he's going to be awesome. Give him a real O-line. Oh, there's no doubt he's going to be successful. Travis gets healthy again and goes out there and does what he does. Oh, it's no doubt he's going to be successful. And there are others on that team that, like I said, there are a lot of individuals that are very talented. But when a reporter asked in the post game, yesterday after yesterday's practice, he had a post presser, and they asked about that 5-star recruit. He's like, the reason he's not playing is because he's not watching film. He's not on time. He laid out a litany of things. I'm like, good for you, Coach Prime. I don't care if you're 5-star or whatever. If you're not serious about the game that you're playing, I'm not going to play you. Good for you, Coach Prime. I'm going to give you props to that, because that's how everybody should be. If you can't do your job and if you can't come up to standard, then how are people going to use you? The kid is not doing what he's supposed to do to be, quote unquote, the 5-star player that, quote unquote, he's supposed to be. And his parents can't be mad at that, because he showed him tape. He showed him video. He showed the whole team proof. That's why nobody recorded. That's why Well Off and all them weren't even allowed to record. Coach Prime told him to get out the room, because he had to show them, this is what's really going on. I'm seeing the stuff. I know how many hours y'all spend in the room watching tape. I see who the serious players are. And this 5-star player, and I can't remember his name for the life of me, isn't there. So how am I going to play a player that's not prepared to play? Agreed. I don't care what star you are. I don't care how vaunted you are. I don't care what NIL deal you got. If you can't even sit down and watch film and become better at your craft, then who's going to play you? Nobody is. So I commend him for that. And that's what I like about Coach Prime. He has those flashes of things that, man, that's great. That's wonderful. We need more of that. But the issue's not even Coach Prime. It's the media. That's what's pushing all this Prime effect. Coach Prime is who he is. He's not going to change. But it's not even really about him. It's about people wanting to jump on bandwagons and thinking that he's, whomever. The next savior of football. What they're doing is making him out to be an idol. And if Coach Prime don't see this, he's going to fall right with them. He's got he talks all this stuff, misquoting scripture. Rod and staff, he thinks staff means people. No, staff don't even mean people. You misused that scripture. I'm going to call you out on it. You totally misinterpreted that scripture for your own benefit. Totally off base. But what we like about Coach Prime is the flashes of traditional values, the flashes of old-fashioned work, the flashes of doing the right thing. That's what we like. The flashes of, taking care of his team and the support staff. That's what we like about Coach Prime. The father figure. That's what we like about Coach Prime. I could care less if he rates his kids. That's his business. At least he's honest about it. That's what we like about Coach Prime. But this Prime effect really has nothing to do with Coach Prime. I mean, it does, but it's morphed into beyond him. It's morphed beyond him now. You have all these rappers and stuff. So that's all just cover. That's all just, there's nothing to it. Let them start losing. All them folk are going to be gone. They're just riding the wave, the bandwagon. And those are the people you don't want. You want the people that are going to be with you thick or thin, win or lose. And we're going to see. We're going to see who's really going to be there or not. I hope he fulfills his contract that he signed with Colorado. I hope he does. If he moves on after that, that's his business. But we're going to see if he's the man that he says he is. If this season turns out to be a losing season, are you still going to stick around and try to make a winning season next year? People want to know. The Colorado fans are already happy. All their home games are sold out. They're already better than they were last year. The Colorado fans can't be upset. They're already better than they were last year. So in reality, Coach Prime has done exactly what he was supposed to do. Improve from last year. They've improved from last year. They got 3 wins. They done tripled their wins. Now, whether they win any more, who knows? They got some major improvements to do. And the thumping that Oregon gave them was a real team well, I'm not even going to say a real team. A team at their level in the top 10 of college football exposed all the weaknesses that Colorado had. Colorado State exposed them too. TCU exposed them, but not at the same level as Oregon, because Oregon's got more weapons. They got a quarterback like no other, except for maybe the USC quarterback. I mean, they really exposed the weaknesses of Colorado. And you don't think the rest of the nation saw that? Of course they did. He doesn't have the players to accomplish the goals that he wants to accomplish. And as one commentator put it, you keep pushing these kids that don't have the talent, you're not going to have any kids. Because they're all going to get injured. Because you haven't brought in enough talent to match your goals and vision for the team. I agree, you go in every game wanting to dominate. That's the attitude you should have. I like that attitude of his. I believe he is confident and arrogant. I believe you can be both. I don't like the arrogant part, but I like the confident part. I believe you should always think that you're going to dominate every game you go into, because why wouldn't you? The right attitude means everything. He would tell you that. You got to have a right attitude. But this Prime effect has gone out of control. And it's not even about Deion anymore. It's all about the people who follow him now. The folks on ESPN and Fox and the guys on social media and all the folks that are on the Colorado bandwagon regardless. Maybe they're on the Colorado bandwagon because he's black and they're black, and so that's the only reason they're on there, because they wouldn't be supporting Colorado if it was a white coach. That's true too. But Coach Prime brings a lot of stuff with him that makes it easy to root for him. That's going to attract these celebrities. And unfortunately, these kids are seeing these celebrities and thinking they got it going on. You really don't. And Coach Prime even said so. You think you've attained something. You ain't attained nothing yet. You're only 4 games into the season. The play doesn't match the hype. The game, the team doesn't match the hype. And I believe that Colorado is overhyped. And everything is contingent on Coach Prime. And yes, there are people that are just waiting for Coach Prime to fail. And that's the wrong attitude too. We should want everybody to be successful in everything they do. We shouldn't pray or want somebody's downfall. That's ridiculous. That's stupid. But to be critical of somebody because of what they see on television and on social media is nothing wrong with that, as long as they're respectful. As long as they're respectful, that, even if you don't agree, that's their opinion. Agree to disagree and move on. Because everybody has an opinion and everybody has a right to that. And everybody's not going to see it the same way you do. Everybody doesn't have the money that you do. Everybody doesn't have the privilege that you do. I understand you worked hard for that, and your talent and skills over the years have garnered you a lifestyle that you're set for the rest of your adult life. And you're taking care of your mother. She's set for the rest of her life, and probably your sister too. That's great. That's what you want to do. That's what I would love to do. I may or may not ever attain that. But you should understand that that most of the majority of the people out there don't have it like you. Don't have the talent you do. Don't have the skills that you do. Never rub shoulders with the people you rub shoulders with. Most of those players on the Colorado roster will never make it to the NFL. And most college rosters will never make it to the NFL. I like the fact that Coach Prime says that he's making men out of them so that when they leave Colorado, they'll have, they'll be able to make it out in the real world. I like that. I pray that's true. Because probably only, not even 1% of those players will make it to the NFL. And that's just a fact and the truth. Same with the military. Military it's an extreme small percentage go into the military, and even some of the ones that go in can't tough it out. Heck, they told me I wouldn't tough it out, and I've been in over 20 years. It's a mindset. It's a mindset. And so I just think that this has gotten out of control. I think I think Colorado's way overhyped. There's a lot of potential there, but they do not have a team. I don't care what you say, they don't have a team. When you have a quarterback gets sacked multiple times a game, when the O-line you don't have no running game, even though you got talented running backs, you have no running game whatsoever. You're one-dimensional. He says they're not. They are. They are one-dimensional. When you don't have a running game, you're one-dimensional. It's just, you're forcing people to play that don't have the talent or skill to play. And that's the fault of Coach Prime and all the staff that coaching staff that he's hired. They didn't get the right people for the job. And it's obvious. Because the O-line is absolutely horrible. And the D-line is not necessarily that much better. And he even acknowledges there's work to do. But what are you going to do? Are the second team and the scout team have any better players? I mean, he made the comment that he was going to get one of the reporters to come out and play. That's how bad it is when you say comments like that. That's how bad it is. He knows the O-line is horrible. He knows. That means they didn't recruit good enough. They were too busy recruiting skilled players, wide receivers and running backs and all this other stuff, and they didn't spend enough time recruiting O-line and D-line players. It's just the way it is. So people need to stop. They really need to stop. Using the race card for everything is ignorant and stupid. And we should be way beyond that. As I've always stated, this country has an obsession with race, and we need to stop. Because your parents, and probably your grandparents weren't slaves. And my parents, and my grandparents weren't slaveholders. Stop trying to push a narrative that's history. Yes, it happened. It was horrible. We shouldn't have did it. But guess what? It's not happening now, but you don't talk nothing about the slavery that's happening in Africa and the Middle East today. You don't care nothing about that. So you're hypocrites. All y'all hypocrites for using a race card. You're hypocrites. Especially the ones that are millionaires and are on television and are content creators making thousands and thousands of dollars. Y'all hypocrites. Y'all hypocrites. Everybody's feelings get hurt because it's turned into a matriarchal society and we're all over emotional. Got to get over it. We got to stop. I enjoy a lot of what Coach Prime puts out on his social media. But there are things I don't like, and there are things he needs to be aware of. He needs to be careful of. And I mean, you just got to be careful. And y'all stop with this nonsense. College football is college football. It's a game. We get too engrossed in games. We're all guilty of it, whether it be sports or, console games or whatever. We get too engrossed. And we need to come back to reality and use some common sense. So this is the last time I'm going to talk about this prime effect. Like I said, it's out of control now. It's ridiculous. And we'll see. They play USC this weekend. If they lose again, we're really going to see it come out the woodworks. It's going to be ridiculous. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do. I would be surprised actually if they won. I'm just going to be perfectly honest. I would be surprised if Colorado pulls up the upset. I'm going to be really surprised. I'm going to be pleasantly surprised, but I'm going to be surprised. Just like I didn't think they would win the Oregon game. I didn't think they'd lose that badly, but Oregon showed all the holes and faults of the Colorado team, and there's no way they fixed it in a week. There's no way they fixed that in a week. But stranger things have happened. Miracles do happen. So we'll see. We'll see. And I think that, people just need to be mindful of what they do and what they say. And they need to stop criticizing others for having different opinions. It's just not right. It's not right at all. Your opinion matters, but nobody else's does. That's being hypocritical. And we've got a plethora of hypocrites in society today. And it's very frustrating. But where do they get it from? They get it from the government, the head. When the head is messed up, what do you expect the body to be messed up to? The body is messed up too. When the head is messed up, the body's messed up. You can't help it. That's just the way it works. People, look up and idolize these celebrities and content creators and all this other stuff. You're wrong. You gotta stop. Stop idolizing Coach Prime. Because not only are you getting yourself in trouble, you're getting him in trouble too. Stop idolizing his sons. Stop idolizing his family. Stop. You're going to get yourself in trouble. I'm telling you, you're going to get yourself in trouble. Are we all guilty of some form of idolism? I'm sure we are. People idolize their cars. People idolize their possessions. We've all done it and we're all doing it. But when you put people on pedestals, even if they didn't ask for it, you're in trouble. You're going to be in deep trouble. I've seen it happen. Christians are guilty of it just as much as the world is. We put people on pedestals and God has to humble them and bring them right on back down. And I'm telling you, it's not pretty. I've seen it happen in person. It is not pretty. So, got to be careful. So, well, that's my little spiel for today. I'm just glad to be able to do it from the house. I'm not normally able to do it, but, sometimes I am. So, hey, just want to give my last part about that. We'll talk about something else tomorrow. And hopefully we'll talk about something else tomorrow. And so I'm very appreciative of each and every one of you that view and subscribe. So please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, please. Please share this with somebody else. Please leave a comment. Always be respectful, because of course if you're not, it's going to be deleted, obviously. So let's just know that right up front. I don't have a problem with you disagreeing. Just be respectful. Don't leave stupid comments. I don't know what they are. They'll be deleted. Make some sense. Make a comment. That's fine. Be respectful. I have no issues with people disagreeing with me. Everybody has a different opinion on things. This is just my opinion. This is the way I look at things. People look at things differently, and that's okay. That's what we want. We want different viewpoints. And we could come together and either agree to disagree or that's a good point. And that's what we want. Actual intelligent conversation, which is lacking in this society today. Nobody's really having an intelligent conversation anymore. Not even in academia, which is the bastion of it, is gone. In fact, academia is now one of the worst places to have conversation, because they'll cancel you in a heartbeat. So, yeah. So make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. If you want to leave a comment, please do. Again, be respectful. I appreciate each and every one of you that come on here and take the time to view. and all that. I really do. Again, these are just my opinions. Again, I appreciate it. Go visit my son's website, philmartin.org. That's PHILL Martin, MARTIN.org. He does some great stuff. He does web design and all that kind of stuff. All kinds of good fun stuff he does on there. You all go visit his website. He's doing well. Hopefully I'll get him on. Me and him can get on here and do a actual sit down podcast again. It's been a while. But the short form is really what is best for right now. So yeah, that's it. So I appreciate each and every one. And until the next time, God bless you.